Human beings are notoriously good at starting things. We launch into ambitious endeavors with a surge of enthusiasm, but we eventually abandon them. Think of the dust on the guitar in the corner, the gym membership used twice, or the half-written project sitting in a digital folder. These broken resolutions are a standard part of the human condition. This pattern creates a psychological baseline. We learn to expect our initial excitement to fade, making us suspicious of our own long-term motivation. Over time, this creates an exhausting anxiety. We begin to doubt our ability to ever truly finish anything meaningful. This weight becomes significantly heavier when we move from physical projects to the realm of moral or spiritual self-improvement. This flowchart shows the mechanical flaw of relying on willpower for spiritual completion. Initial effort feeds into diminishing willpower, which leads back to failure, trapping the individual in a closed loop. But we have to ask a different question. What if the responsibility of reaching the finish line does not actually belong to the runner? Finding an escape from this loop of exhaustion requires shifting the ultimate burden of completion away from human effort. There is a specific text that addresses this track record of incompletion. It's found in the book of Philippians. The verse says, "I am confident of this, that the one who began a good work among you will bring it to completion by the day of Jesus Christ." This diagram shows how the verse functions. It identifies a driving force for spiritual finality that is not the self. On this scale, human willpower is outweighed by a divine guarantee. This isn't just an encouraging sentiment. It is a pivot that shifts the spiritual burden of completion onto an external promise. If we look at this sentence like a contract, we see the initiator. The text states that the work was started by an external party, not the individual. Next, we have the guarantee. The phrase, "I am confident of this," describes a state of certainty about the present, rather than a hope for a likely outcome. Then there is the executioner. The grammar notes that the same entity that began the work is the one tasked with finishing it. The line of responsibility is unbroken. Finally, we see the deadline. The phrase, "the day of Jesus Christ," acts as an immovable endpoint on our timeline. This specific structure functions as a contract. It brackets human vulnerability with divine action at both the starting and finishing ends. For someone used to the cycle of failure, this shift in agency changes the internal landscape. Chronic performance anxiety is met with a new form of assurance. When the demand for spiritual perfection is relocated, the chronic fear of falling short loses its status as the final word on the person's progress. Growth is no longer a frantic effort to finish a task before the clock runs out. Being an unfinished person is no longer a source of shame when the ultimate completion date is secured by an external force. We have contrasted failing human effort with a guaranteed divine promise. This introduces the difference between participation and execution. While we participate in the work, we are not the ones responsible for executing its final state. The confidence here comes from recognizing that the finish line is not a burden we carry. The promise of completion transforms human inadequacy. It becomes the setting where a guaranteed, external follow-through is put on display.